Hello, and welcome to the Hive Mind podcast, where the collective wisdom of the travel industry helps you match travelers with the right destinations and the right hotels. I'm your host, Whitney Schindler, founder and CEO of The Hive, a platform designed to give travel advisors organized, actionable insights they can put to work right away. Each week, I sit down for focused, real-world conversations with travel advisors, hoteliers, and supplier partners who know these places inside and out. We break down how each hotel is best suited to a specific client profile, take quick deep dives into destinations, and share pro tips to help you make the most of the Hive. And here's the best part. You don't need to take notes while you listen. Go about your day, tune in, and know that every insight from these conversations is already captured and organized inside the Hive, so it's there when you actually need it. And if you aren't to the Hive yet, you can get resources from this and other episodes when you join our newsletter at thehive.travel/podcast. Today, we have a new episode of The Essentials, a deep dive all about helping you not just understand a destination, but feel it, the energy, the vibe, and the nuance that make it unique. Trusted destination partners share key details that matter most and help paint an overall picture that will inspire you as you present the destination to clients. When you bring a destination to life with confidence and with clarity, you build trust, you spark excitement, and you make it that much easier for your clients to say yes. Joining us today to talk about Mexico City is Cintli Chacon, General Manager of the DMC across Mexico. Let's dive in. Cintli, hi, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Whitney. Very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so thrilled today to dive into Mexico City. It is truly one, top 5 favorite cities. I absolutely love it. I've been multiple times. I will return. So thank you so much for your willingness to be here. What's your first, before I get too excited, give me a little bit of your background with across Mexico and the DMC and your connection to Mexico City.
Yes, of course. So Across Mexico is a part of Travel Collection, a company that has a lot of experience, started in Morocco like more than almost 12 years ago, and then start growing up. And so Mexico is part of the portfolio now, and we started that almost 2.5 years ago. We're one of those amazing new DMCs in the country, putting a lot of souls and creativity into each of our itineraries. And my connection to Mexico City is already a long time ago. I'm actually from Tabasco, from the south of Mexico.
Okay.
But I relocated and since 2001. I moved here because I wanted to study university, my undergrad program here in Mexico City. And since then, I have been living in the city, and I have watched the city transform into what it
Quite
is today.
literally, yes.
Yeah, completely. So I'm so happy to be part of the process, and to watch it first line.
So, as a destination for anyone who's not familiar with Mexico City, first things first, everybody has to go to Mexico City. I would say that my favorite part about the city is the food, but actually, I only say the food today because I've already seen a lot of the museums, a lot of the history
Correct.
and the historical ruins and whatnot. And so, if you're really going for the first time, it has everything. It has history, it has culture, it has museums, it has food, it has shopping. Literally, Mexico City has something for everyone. So today, because I've been multiple times, I'm well, I go back for the food. And that's true. I go back for the food. But if you haven't been yet, or if you haven't had clients there, there's a lot to discover today. So before we get
Yes.
into too much detail, so it doesn't feel overwhelming, talk to me about the best times of the year to visit Mexico City in terms of seasonality, crowds, temperature, holidays, just all these types of things. When do you see the most demand for Mexico City? But also, when is your favorite time in the city?
Thank you. This is a great question. And I think the general answer is that Mexico is a good destination for every time of the year, right? We have amazing weather, like in winter or in summer, it doesn't matter. But I will just be cautious about coming to Mexico City in the summer months. Particularly, I will say June to probably early September is the rainy season. It's not completely bad, because what is good about Mexico City is that the raining is happening at late evenings. So you still have all morning half of the afternoon to go out and explore. And next morning, even though it was a super heavy rain the previous night, next morning will be completely shiny and beautiful as well. So it's not necessarily bad, but just to be cautious that
Sure.
in the afternoon you have to plan around that. But my favorite time to visit, I have two favorite times. The first one is, I would say, February, March,
Hmm.
especially because of the jacarandas. The jacaranda
That's,
tree that is
yes,
in,
it's so
blooming. The
beautiful.
city is purple.
Hmm.
Is just beautiful to walk around and to see all the trees. And the weather is fantastic. It's fresh, but not too cold, not too hot. It's just perfect. And my second favorite season will be October, November. Once again, because weather is magical, is autumn. In Mexico, you don't see the changes completely, as most of the time the same temperature all year long. But October, November moves you closer to Dia de los Muertos festivities. So
Yes.
even if you are coming to mid-October, you will start seeing already some things happening around Dia de los Muertos that is approaching fast. So I think also that time is fantastic time to visit.
So, speaking of Dia de los Muertos or Day of the Dead, generally I've heard that you want to be in Michoacan, San Miguel,
Yes.
de Allende, or Oaxaca.
Yeah.
Is there anything going on in Mexico City specifically if clients are there and maybe it's not like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not going to fly to another region just for this, but we do still want to feel like the spirit of the holiday. Are there things going on in Mexico City?
Thank you so much for asking that question. That's great. And the places you mentioned, that's by far the places that are the most famous for good reasons.
Hmm.
But Mexico City has a lot to offer. And now it's like if I have clients doubting, like, oh, I don't want to spend so much time traveling to Oaxaca or to Michoacan because whatever, I only have the weekend to go there. Mexico City is a fantastic option. We
Okay, I've
have
never thought about this. This is
Yes,
amazing.
and we have the Dia de los Muertos parade that happens every year. We have not only that parade, but also we have the alebrijes that are these mystical figures that are actually from Oaxaca. This is like a parade also happening there with Catrinas and the skulls and everyone walking around. It's the whole city becomes a festivity like for 2 weeks in a row, and this is fantastic. So you have the parades, you have the obviously the cemeteries are those are not as magical as perhaps as in Oaxaca, but you will never know what are you missing because it's still a big celebration for the country. So if you're in Mexico City, it's not in every cemetery, but we know which ones are the good to go,
Right.
what good ones to go. And the altares,
The
the
altars.
all
Hmm.
exactly the altars that is there are so many altars happening across the city, and we actually have like a tour to go and visit the most emblematic ones. So just in short answer,
So
there is so
altars,
much happenings.
cemeteries, and parade, like that
Pare-
is
and
the
restaurants. Many
oh,
restaurants also offer special menus around Dia de los Muertos.
interesting. Okay.
So you will love being in this in the city for that. And actually now it's becoming more and more common. And when just walking around the street, especially on the weekend of the parade, you will see people, international, foreigners, even locals. Uh, with the face painting, with the flower crowns, and so the whole city is in celebration mode.
Okay. I can't believe I've never considered Mexico City for Day of the Dead. It literally never crossed my mind that this would be a good
Now you
idea, but
will.
I think now with everything else we're going to talk
Yeah.
about with all that there is to do, I think whenever I'm chatting with clients about a potential holiday or festivity or culture event going on, it's always important to understand, is this event like the main priority of your trip? Or is it just, it would be cool if we happen to be there at that time? And that feels like the differentiation, right? Like
Yes.
if Day of the Dead is the reason you are traveling, you should probably go to Oaxaca. If you are just
I will
interested in,
say,
yeah, no, you tell
sorry.
me, you know better because now I'm just babbling.
Now I can tell you that in Mexico City, it won't make a difference. Like if you go to Oaxaca, you will see like more local people celebrating
Okay.
versus if you come to Mexico City, you will feel that you are part of a celebration. You will
Okay.
probably not see so many locals doing the festivities, But in Mexico City, you will feel that you're a part of something bigger, right? I
Right.
don't know if I'm making myself completely clear. But what is amazing with me is that now, if you come just to Mexico City, you will still feel the connection. You will see the spirituality behind the festivity, and you will have a full itinerary around Dia de los Muertos. It's not just oh, it's just one day and the rest I don't know what I will be doing. It's the whole weekend. You will have something
Hmm.
to do. And
Hmm.
let me just complement with something that is really important for this weekend in Mexico City. The weekend before Dia de los Muertos is the Formula One weekend, the
Oh.
F1 in Mexico City. So it's actually it is those 2 weekends are some of the busiest weekends in Mexico. It's also obviously most one of the most expensive weekends because everyone is here. First, on the last weekend of October 4th, the Formula One party and the Grand Prix in Mexico City. And the next weekend, most of the people stay for the Dia de los Muertos celebration. So the two of them are fantastic. So if you're coming for an event as F1, you can stay here and then combine with culture and stay either in Mexico City or go around, as you said, like to San Miguel or to Oaxaca.
This is amazing. I imagine that also means that the city is just really, really busy.
Very busy.
I think guidance to book for Day of the Dead has always been to book a year in advance, but when you add the Formula One component as well,
Yeah.
even more so, like you have to be on top of this.
Correct. And
Okay.
as you said before, like you have to, if you are coming here for those things, you have to book in advance. Definitely 1 year in advance is the recommendation. I will say no less than 6 months because we will be able to find you something, but definitely will not be the best option. If you are not and you want to stay longer, I will say just come for the weekend. Try to avoid F1 if you are not interested in the event and perhaps just stay longer.
Okay. I love this idea so much. And I'm also just, I didn't even know about Formula One, but what I was going to say previously is that, like, um, in Mexico City, you can come for Day of the Dead, but then you also have all these other things that you can do that are not related to Day of the Dead, just the actual
Correct.
history and the ruins in the city, all of the restaurants, all of the museums. So, I mean, I used to say that Mexico City was like a 5 night type of, like 4 to 5 nights, kind of
Yeah.
that I can keep you busy. But if you're overlapping with any of these events, like now I think you need a full week. So, what
Yeah.
what do you feel, let's say, like aside from Day of the Dead and Formula One, because those are pretty
Yeah.
unique events, if someone's just coming, they're visiting Mexico City for the first time, there isn't a special event going on,
Mhm.
what is the average length of stay for guests, and like how long, like what's a good amount of time that you're like, okay, we can really kind of dig in with some cool experiences here?
I would say that at least 4 nights is the minimum.
Okay.
Obviously, it depends on the pace that you're looking for. What are you expecting to take out from those days in the city? I would say at least 4 nights. Obviously, we can pack that during for a long weekend. That happens a lot when
Hmm.
you have Memorial Day, or whatever celebration, long weekend in the US. We have a lot of travel saying, "Hey, I need to arrive Friday. I need to depart Monday or even Sunday night." So we just
Hmm.
try to put everything
Sure.
prioritize, obviously. But it's I will say like with 4 nights is enough to at least discover the city. But I can guarantee that you will say, oh, it was not enough. I have to come back. And the
Hmm.
beauty of Mexico City is that there are like more than 50 direct flights from the US. So it's very convenient and very easy just to be here, right? And so you can do that just for a long weekend, and is the prices are also very affordable. So many times you don't consider to, oh, let's go to Mexico just for a long weekend. And it's actually cheaper, more adventurous, a really a unique experience compared than just, going somewhere probably that you think is going to be near home, but it's actually more
Right.
exciting.
Yeah, it's not a domestic destination, but considering the connectivity with flights and the affordability, and that you could absolutely go once and then go back again and do
Correct.
totally different things, it could almost be considered like a long weekend in New York or a long weekend in San Francisco.
Correct.
Um, because every time you go back, you can stay in a different hotel. There are so many different options. You could go to different restaurants. Like there is enough to kind of see and do to really mix it up. So,
Correct.
yeah, I generally try to get clients to do like a Wednesday through Sunday type of, or 4 or 5 nights is generally what
Yeah,
I
that's
am
that's I will
recommending as
say
well.
that the best. Mhm. Yeah,
Amazing.
and this is actually a good suggestion with me because in Mexico, like most of the all the museums actually close on Mondays. So it's better that you take Wednesday or Thursday to arrive and try to depart Sunday afternoon because that way you are not missing anything. Instead of coming to a Thursday and leaving on Monday night or Tuesday morning, you will be probably missing some activities on Monday.
Sure. So, perfect segue. Last I heard, Mexico City is known as the museum capital of the world.
Yes. It is. We have thousands of options.
Yes. So let's talk about this a little bit. Like, how did this happen? Why does Mexico City have so many museums? Um, and what are the top kind of 4 or 5 museums that you feel like, okay, first time in Mexico, like first time in Mexico City, like we really need to at least consider these. And then I would love to know what some of the more niche museums are that you like to
Yeah.
share with clients.
So I think it's because of the culture. We have such a rich culture and so many contrasts that we have many things to show, right? Obviously, there are the big names as the Anthropology Museum, the crowd favorite that is the Frida Kahlo Museum.
Mhm.
Those two, I think, the Chapultepec Castle. All of those are like number one priorities,
I
right?
think I
And I
think you
think
have
for
to see this. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And this is your first time in Mexico City, those will be most probably in the itinerary. What is the beauty that each of them has something like different to show, right? If you go to anthropology, it's more about the pre-Hispanic culture. If you go to Frida Kahlo, obviously it's about the painter and her life, and but it's also a short museum that you can just walk around in 45 minutes. But it's entertaining and it's different, and
Mhm.
especially if you are like a woman or for kids, it's also very is amazing. It just shows you a different way of life.
Mhm.
Um, but there, as you said, like there are other more niche type of museums that it depends on what each family or each traveler are looking for, right? We have, for example, for kids, that's something you don't always think about. We have uh, the toy museum that is close to downtown and is like the different toys from different cultures. It's not just showcasing toys, but it's like how different the Hispanic cultures, how each community across Mexico, they have different toys and different elements just to showcase. And it's also the popular art museum. So it's, different things.
Mhm.
So yeah, those are obviously very small. Some of them actually are for free. And it's just a matter of where you're trying to get from your visit.
As your business grows, consistency becomes everything. Clients expect the same thoughtful, polished experience every time. But when you're juggling too much, it's easy for things to slip. That's where the Hive comes in. It's your expertise vault, organizing hotel details, destination insights, and advisor perspectives in one place. With the Hive, you can deliver consistently high quality advice to every client, even as you scale. Want to see how it works? Head to thehive.travel. I don't mean to bring up something challenging and difficult, but one of the museums I visited is the Memory and Tolerance Museum, which is about genocides around the world.
Yeah.
I don't remember how I found out about this museum and how I decided, like, yes, this is how I would like to spend my
Yeah.
afternoon, because it is a really difficult museum to walk through,
Yeah.
but it was one of the most well done museums that I have ever visited. And so, even though the topic is difficult, it is a modern museum. The way that information is shared is super engaging and super interesting and like kind of like takes you through a journey and it's kind of always evolving. It didn't feel like a typical walk and read a tiny little plaque and then walk to the
Yeah.
next tiny little plaque and read something new. It really felt like they were guiding you through like this journey of the experience in the museum. So if people like museums and if this is a topic that they're kind of open to explore, this was one of the best like executed museums that I've ever visited, and I learned a lot. And I enjoyed the visit to the experience. It was very
Thank you.
educational and
Thank you for
informational.
sharing. That's yeah, it's one of the very good examples that you mentioned. But I think in general, what is beautiful about Mexico City is that you can be just walking around in any neighborhood and you will just pass in front. Oh, this is a new museum. Oh, I have, like, yeah, we're just walking around. Let's enter. And this is what is fantastic is that you don't have to necessarily plan your whole day about visiting, I don't know, X number of museums. It's just
Right.
part of your discovery of the city, and
Sure. Yep.
this is great.
Yep. Totally agree. Okay. So speaking of neighborhoods, let's shift this way. There are a million neighborhoods. There's not a
Yes.
million. There's probably like 4 or 5 key neighborhoods in Mexico City. I think that one of the biggest question marks for me is always trying to decide in which neighborhood clients should stay. Um, so I'm curious to know from your perspective, do you think about the hotel first that might be a good fit for a particular client, or do you think about the neighborhood first and then find a hotel within that neighborhood?
I think it's a mix. I think, but if I have to choose only one, I would say it's always the traveler. What are they doing in their itinerary? What are they looking for from their visit to Mexico, and what activities they will be doing? Just to give a short example, that if we have a party of friends that are coming here to celebrate their 40th birthday, right? There's a group of
Mhm.
girlfriends staying here. For me, it's not even like a question mark. For me, it's clear that they have to stay in Roma Norte, right? Because most of the activities will be going out, eating, celebrating, bars, and that's a perfect spot for them. You don't even have to plan a full itinerary. Just being there, you will be in the heart of the city. If you are talking more, perhaps a senior couple that they want to be more like having a car at disposal to go perhaps shopping and one museum and then another, but a lower pace itinerary, and they want to feel safe. They want to feel like they are like in a lower pace type of neighborhood. For me, Polanco is perhaps
Mhm.
the right answer for them.
Right.
But I will say that it's more related to the type of traveler and the type of trip that they are planning. But as you said, like there are four neighborhoods in town. Is for me, it's either Polanco, the Reforma corridor has many of the big brand names for the hotels,
Mhm.
but that is actually between Polanco and Condesa and Roma Norte.
Right.
So those are the top three, four destinations if you want to break them down into four neighborhoods.
So you just shared a little bit about Roma Norte and Polanco. How would you describe Condesa?
Condesa for me is like when you talk about Roma Norte and Condesa, for me is part of the same, right?
Okay.
You're walking one street and then you cross to Roma Norte and without even realizing.
Okay.
So it's the same
So you
spirit.
would
It's
kind
more,
of put those in the
it's the
same
same.
category. Mhm.
It's officially they are not, of course, but it's part of the same category. It's the same type of traveler. Perhaps Condesa is more residential and than Roma Norte. I'm not calling Condesa residential, just to be clear. Just comparing the two of them. The two of them are these boho chic, full
Mhm.
of life, restaurant, bars type of neighborhoods. Roma Norte is if you're coming here for food reasons, you're a foodie, you want to discover the city through food, you have to stay in Roma Norte.
Yeah,
More
there's
better, much better than Condesa.
yeah.
But the two of them will offer like amazing gastronomic experiences. It's just Condesa perhaps is a lower pace, perhaps more bar scene than Roma Norte, that is now more food, more restaurants.
So I know the hotel scene is changing rapidly and it's changed a
Yes.
lot. So it's been a few years since I've been. But my experience was that the bigger branded hotels are mostly along the Reforma and in Polanco.
Mhm.
And then if you're staying in Roma Norte, Condesa, this is where a lot of the boutique hotels and boutique, like the place has 7 rooms and it's always sold out boutique. Is
Yes.
this still the case that it's mostly kind of differentiated this way?
Is still the case, but definitely there are some changes happening as we speak. There is one big hotel in construction right now that is expected to open next year. And even some of the small boutique hotels are opening sister properties close to each other. So now
Okay.
you can book through under the same management, just,
Okay.
like
They have a
one
little
building
more
away.
inventory. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are some other properties that are like a 2 or 3 years ago opened that is like an in Condesa type of properties, but it's still limited compared
Right.
to
So
obviously the in Polanco or Reforma options.
I guess the only
Especially if
reason
you're looking,
sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
especially if you're looking for two queen beds in the same building, that's when we found more problems.
Yeah, so I guess that's kind of what I'm thinking when I was thinking about like, do we decide neighborhood first or hotel first? Is like, well, if somebody
Yeah.
definitely wants Ritz Carlton, Four Seasons, the Sofitel, but they want to be like they're there for the food, like there's going to be a little bit of compromise here because those
Yeah.
hotels aren't located in Roma Norte or Condesa. Whereas if you say, well, food is the priority, but then you're like, I'm not really a boutique hotel person, that also just like might not work. So they might
Yeah.
just be a conversation with clients about really understanding what is it about the Four Seasons or the Ritz Carlton that you want out of a hotel, and is there a hotel in Roma Norte that could tick those boxes, or are we just going to have some Ubers back and forth to the restaurants?
Correct. And I think that's if clients are open to walk in Mexico City, that solves many questions and many of the
Yeah.
problems because you don't have to compromise. That's the point.
Hmm.
If you stay in the first at Four Seasons or at the Ritz Carlton, San Regis, all of those, you're actually very close to Condesa. You are just basically crossing the street almost, and you have many options. But you have to be comfortable walking 20 minutes.
Sure.
At during day, it's perfectly safe, perfectly walkable. It's enjoyable, and this is the
Hmm.
thing that people sometimes don't expect from Mexico City, especially if this is your first time. And I tell you, hey, you can walk around. To say the first reaction will be, "Are you crazy? I
Oh
don't
no,
want
you
to walk in
absolutely
Mexico
can.
City."
Yeah.
But that's the first big surprise that actually you can walk and it's a very enjoyable walk. It's green. You
Hmm.
will be walking around parks and people with the strollers, with babies, with a lot of dogs, especially in
Yep.
Condesa, right? So it's I think it's one of the first surprises. So if clients are willing to walk around, I think that's the best solution
Yep.
because then you won't be stuck in traffic trying to move from the whatever of those hotels to your Roma Norte
Right.
restaurant and spending 30 minutes stuck in traffic.
Because it is a gigantic city, and that is something that you should not
Yeah.
forget. There's a lot
Yeah.
of traffic. So actually being somewhere that you can walk quite a bit to restaurant reservations and whatnot is
Yeah.
actually it's ideal.
Correct.
Amazing. Okay, so walk me through. We talked about a 4 or a 5 night stay being recommended for first time visitors.
Mhm.
In addition to the museums that we've already mentioned, what are some of the activities and experiences that you recommend for first time visitors? Everything from the standard, like pretty much everyone does this, all
Yeah.
the way to the more niche or kind of exclusive options that we could consider.
And I love that. And I think Mexico City has something to offer to uh, every traveler. And it doesn't matter if this is like a first time in Mexico City or like a repeat traveler, right? We talk about like the classics. We are Frida Kahlo, going to the pyramids at Teotihuacan, of course, visiting the historic center. Those are for sure some of the activities you have to do if this is your first time. If you're looking for something unique that only Mexico City can be found, definitely Xochimilco, which are the colorful boats, the canals. For me, Xochimilco breaks into two. Either the classic one that everyone knows about, that is like the party boats, where you have the mariachi following you in another boat, serenading you, and the quesadillas lady in another little boat serving you from her boat into yours,
Yep.
right? And which is
Yep.
super fun, especially for young crowds. This is like a crazy party to be there. But this is what you will expect. You will expect loud music, a lot of people in celebration mode. If you are looking for something that is different but still only Mexico, and this is one of my favorites, you go to Xochimilco but in another port, and
Okay.
this is more like the agriculture part of Xochimilco, where you
Okay.
will understand how those why those canals exist. This is
Right.
just the memory of that Mexico City in the 1500s. It was a lake. The whole city was a lake,
Right.
and you will see that in Xochimilco. We have the canals because it was just water at the time. So going there, you learned about the agricultural system that the Aztecs invented that is still relevant today, like Pujol, the big names in the
Mhm.
restaurants in Mexico buys their groceries from that place. It's organic, it's amazing. And you go there not just to understand the relevance, but also to have an amazing lunch. And this is something you are not expecting. You go there in your boat, like seeing that you don't feel that you're in the craziness of Mexico City. You feel like you hear birds, seeing different, like animals just there. And while you're in your boat, and then you arrive to Chinampa, which is a floating garden, and you're going to be served fresh, cooked three meals prepared there by your local chef, that with a lettuce that was just harvested that morning, that is still crunchy, and it's a simple meal but delicious, right? And this is
Amazing.
something, this is an experience that really connects you to the
Yeah.
cultural part of Mexico, while still having an amazing lunch and food, and almost like a day trip out of the city. And both of those are happening in Xochimilco. It depends where is your
Right.
mood and where you're looking for. So Xochimilco definitely is one of those. And I cannot leave this podcast where I'm mentioning lucha libre, of course, is
Yep.
my kids' favorite, but it doesn't matter if it is my kids or my parents. Yeah, every time we have friends visiting, or all the travelers that we've received in across Mexico, there's no one that is disappointed of visiting the lucha libre. It is it is such a, it's like a going to a performance with the, like, with mask and people flying all over the place. Obviously that is
Mhm.
orchestrated, but it's so much
Yes.
fun and
Yep.
full of color and personality. This is
Hmm.
something that is just so much fun. Obviously kids love it. And yeah, so it's such a fantastic experience, and we can organize that from a meet and greet with a luchador before the lucha libre. But yeah, it's so much fun. And those, I will say, that are some of the must do activities. But if you're looking for something more exclusive, once in a life perhaps opportunity, we have, of course, the of hours tours around some of the most iconic museums, like the
Hmm.
Anthropology or Frida Kahlo. But we also have like the opportunity to have culinary labs. Go and prepare pan dulce, conchas with, for example, Chef Lalo from Maximo Bistro is one Michelin star, right? So even if you're looking for something that is like the combination of food, culture, we can put together those. If I have to choose one thing that you have to do if you're coming from to Mexico City for a first time, please do a food tour. Is the a walking food tour is one of our stellar tours that we sell and across Mexico. This is a combination not just about food. It's not just street food. It's also some of big names there. So
Hmm.
it's a
Hmm.
combination of, it's walking. We also include bars. So the bar scene also in Mexico is fantastic. Just last year we have like the number one bar in the world in Mexico City, plus two others in the list, right? So it's amazing. Mexico City is a city that is life. And when you go out there and you discover it, you feel the energy.
Amazing. Um, I don't know if you're gonna tell me not to say this, but one of the experiences that I did that I really enjoyed was a hot air balloon over Teotihuacan.
It's amazing. No, of course.
It's
it is
it's a little
it is magical.
complicated, like logistically, because you have to wake up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to like drive
Like
out of the
four,
city.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's really early, but we really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was really cool when you have like Teotihuacan, like these iconic historical ruins, and you see it from air, and then you land, and then you go visit it like on foot by land. Like it was just really cool to like have this varied experience
Yeah.
all around one archaeological site.
Completely agree. This is it sounds very touristy, but at the end of the day, it's there for a reason.
Hmm.
You are able not just to discover the pyramids from literally another angle from above,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it feels so magical being in a hot air balloon, looking at the other like hundreds of balloons next to you,
Hmm.
and during sunrise. And you're
Yeah.
seeing the sun appear, and then you're seeing the ruins, and then you are just floating in the middle of the air and say, what is happening? Why I'm here? And it actually gets you to connect with yourself, with the country, with the city, and being grateful. I honestly feel that it's such a magical experience because it just connects you with the
Hmm.
earth and with the place you are. And I think that's lovely. And if
Yeah.
I can recommend to everyone do it, yes, I will say yes, do that.
Yeah. We felt that it was really worthwhile. I've had clients do
Yeah.
it, and they, like it's an early morning wake up call for sure, but
Yes.
they were super, pleased with the experience, and they really enjoyed it as well. You mentioned one thing that I never thought of, which is more of like a hands-on culinary experience. Of course, a food tour feels like an absolute must. But what types of like cooking workshops or like what types of things can you learn to make in Mexico City? You mentioned conchas, which are my favorite. So now I need to
Yes.
add that to my list.
I think, Whitney, the answer will be whatever you want, honestly. I think, like, and you know this because you have been in Mexico City many times, but the people that are listening to us, what you will find not just in Mexico City, but all over the country, is that in Mexico we are really good at hospitality. If you come to the country, you go to a restaurant with kids and say, "Hey, do you have a kids menu?" Probably the answer will be no, because we don't need to. Because
Right.
if you order something for your kids that is not even on the menu, the answer will be yes, we're happy to prepare that. So
Yeah.
imagine that same level of hospitality, but into a cooking class. Is
Yeah.
basically whatever you want to learn. I think that the partnership that we have with chefs, with cooking schools, is that we just you hear the client what they are looking for, and then we share that knowledge or that those requests, sorry, with the chef or the cooking class, and we customize something for the travelers. And I think this is the magic about Mexico. It's
Mm-hmm.
not what we created, is what you want, and then we will create something for you.
Mm-hmm.
So think
Mm-hmm.
about, it's not just tacos. I mean, tacos obviously is like number one idea for every traveler, especially we're coming with children. Tacos is so easy
Mm-hmm.
to prepare that is a no-brainer. But you can prepare mole, you can prepare tlayudas, you can prepare like cochinita pibil, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
the slow cooked pork from the
Yep.
south of Mexico. That's one of my favorites.
Yep.
And so think of whatever. Like we will give you suggestions, and depending on the time that you want to invest in the cooking class or the lab or the workshop, then we will suggest, and then you decide.
So in my house, we're gonna vote for churros and concha.
Yes,
And I have looked
a
into
combination.
trying to learn how to make both of these, and like I've found the YouTube videos and I have some of the kitchen necessities, but I've never like fully made the leap into like trying to make my own churros. So maybe that will be my next adventure in Mexico City.
Probably. We will be happy to organize that for you.
Okay, so when advisors are speaking with clients about potentially visiting Mexico City, what are some key questions advisors can ask clients in order to then help to collaborate with you most closely and to kind of have some of the high level preferences and ideas sorted out before you start working on a proposal? What do you want us to
Yeah,
talk to clients about at the very beginning?
that's a great question, and it's very important. Obviously, if this is the first time in Mexico City, the pace of the itinerary, what time of experience are they looking for? Like, is culture, is food, is archaeology, is all of the above, right? So
Mm-hmm.
just to find the proper balance for them at the right rhythm for them. I
Mm-hmm.
think those are for me like, and obviously the budgets, right? Just to make sure
Sure.
that we select the right property. And even within the budget is how do they want to allocate the budget? Do they want like an amazing property where they can go there with full of amenities, the pool, the bar, like big rooms? Or are they looking perhaps to spend more outside of the hotel? I'm just going to be in the hotel just to sleep. I don't care much. It's
Mm-hmm.
obviously without compromising quality or safety,
Right.
but it's like I prefer to allocate, I don't know, 30% into the room and then the other into the
Mm-hmm.
experiences. I
Mm-hmm.
think that will help us to find the right properties and the right experiences for the clients. But my number one question about those, and that I always make sure to ask our clients or the travel advisors in this case, is just to say what are the hobbies or yeah, hobbies or like
Mm-hmm.
passions that their clients
Right.
has.
Yep.
Because this is something that is not always asked, but this is where the magic happens. Because if somebody shares like, obviously, if my hobby is golf and you're coming to Mexico City, it will be a little tough, right? But you never know. Like the other day, for example, for Dia de los Muertos, we have a solo traveler and she was passionate about photography. And she said, like, yeah, she was actually hesitant to share with me. So like, yeah, well, I'm actually starting to take classes. I'm just learning, but I'm enjoying that so much. And that was the whole conversation. Not much more after that. But we organized like a photography class for her. So like a photo shoot, but it was not just a photographer. The lady taking the picture was actually a photographer teacher. So this was, think about this, like 2 hours, like she was taking pictures of our client and sharing the tips and why she chose that location and how was the angle and how was the light and sharing the tips with her. So it became like a class, being her the model and being, like a conversation with two people passionate about photography.
Mm-hmm.
this is the thing she remembers the most. And she wrote to me just to say, hey, I cannot believe that you put together this. And this was my highlight for the trip.
Yeah.
So I want to use this as an example to say, we need to ask those questions, because that's the only way
Yeah.
to take like a regular itinerary into something that feels really customized for your clients.
As travel professionals, our value is in our knowledge, but keeping it organized can feel impossible. That's why I built The Hive, a platform where you can save all your notes from FAMs to site inspections, your research, client feedback, all those notes scattered between stickies and emails so that you have instant access when you need it in the future. Find out more at thehive.travel. One thing that we haven't talked about yet, which is one of my passions, and it like is super like I feel like there's a lot of opportunity in Mexico, is local artisans. I
Yes.
always really, I'm not necessarily like a super artistic person personally. So I'm not like looking for like a painting workshop or something, because
Mhm.
there's nothing I will create that I'm going to want to bring home. Let's just say it that way. But I'm very interested in learning about local artisans in a destination, understanding their craft, bringing home
Yeah.
a unique souvenir that might be something that they made. And so, what are there any opportunities along these lines that are available in Mexico City?
So the short answer is yes, but I will say this is not the typical destination for that. I think for if you're looking for that type of connection, it's definitely much better to go to Oaxaca, for example, where you
Yep.
will have firsthand, like not just about one type of craft or artisans, but many of them.
Many. Yeah.
Many. But in
Anytime I'm
Mexico
in
City,
Mexico and I like the decor in like a restaurant or a
yeah,
hotel or
you
anywhere, I'm
ask.
like, where did this come from? And they're like, Oaxaca.
Yeah,
Every single time we went to Oaxaca and bought everything we can find. I have already
yes.
warned my husband that when we go to Oaxaca, there may be a shipping crate being sent home.
100%, 100%. I will say, like, now we're talking about Mexico City, but I always
Yeah.
joke with travel advisors that if I had to, to talk about one place that is what you're expecting from Mexico, bold colors, craft, friendly people, smiling, amazing food, is Oaxaca.
It's Oaxaca.
But
So if the artisans aren't in Mexico City as much, and that makes sense, I think that the high end shopping is in Mexico City though, right?
it's
Which is
both of them.
totally
But yes,
different.
it's
But
I will say, like, let me rephrase my answer. So Mexico City is the center of the country. So we have here everything from food from the north of Mexico to the south. The same
mhm,
for the crafts in the country. We have representation of artisans from the whole country here in the city. For me, one of my favorite places to go shopping, that you already mentioned, that is the market, the Ciudadela market. It's close to downtown. It's completely safe. It's amazing. The number of artisans there, the offers that you will find there, whatever you're looking for, from copper mugs to alebrijes to arte huichol, like with a little colorful jewels, to obviously textiles, pottery, you name it. You will find it there at a very reasonable prices and amazing quality. So for me, if you're looking for to buy something, the Ciudadela Craft Market is the place you have to go. But it's not just there. I just said, if you are looking for exactly the opposite, big
mhm,
names, big brands that you can buy in Paris or New York or Tokyo, you go to Polanco. You have that strip in
mhm,
Masaryk Street where you will find probably any of the big brands over there.
mhm,
But I think what is beautiful about Mexico City is that now you can also find local designers, like
mhm.
really high quality emerging design that is not just Mexican but also Latin American. And
Okay.
probably you will need to go there to La Juarez. I think for me La Juarez is the best place to find that type
Is this a
of
neighborhood or a
uh,
street? Like, where is
it
it
is a
exactly?
neighborhood. It is a neighborhood that actually it is beautiful to walk. If you are like in the Reforma Strip, you can walk to La Juarez and then continue walking, arrive to Roma Norte. So
Oh,
that for
okay.
me, you can spend like, for example, Sundays. On Sundays, Reforma is closed for
Yes.
bikes and walks. So take your Sunday, go out, start walking, go to Juarez neighborhood, go there to have these amazing curated stores, boutique stores, and then just after
Is it
that,
is it here?
it's yeah, exactly, exactly around that.
Okay.
And as you
So
see, it's just just north of Roma Norte,
Yep, Roma Norte's here.
and then just continue walking south, and you will arrive to Parque Mexico, which is Condesa, right? So
Yes.
that's a
Okay.
perfect Sunday day. No
And
itinerary, just walking around to discover the city, stopping at any shop, any museum that you will find in the way, coffee shops, restaurants. This is the best part of the city.
so Reforma's closed on Sundays and it becomes like
Yes.
pedestrian and bikes and whatnot. Are all of the shops and museums open on Sundays then?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The only day museums close in Mexico are Mondays, and
Okay.
restaurants, they basically open every day. There are a few exceptions that they don't open on Sundays, and the majority of them do not open on Mondays as well. But there are just very few of them.
Yeah.
You will find many options in
Yeah.
any day.
So here we have the Four Seasons down here. I'm just seeing, kind of getting my bearings here of where we are in the city. So it feels like Sunday is not a good day to leave Mexico City. It feels more
It
like
is
a
not,
Sunday
but you
night
can
or a
take
Monday morning is a better day to
leave
leave.
100%. If I can recommend, go on Monday morning, right? Because
Okay.
on Mondays, museums are closed. But museums, or you can go to, most of the time, we suggest going to the pyramids on Monday or going to Xochimilco on Monday, right? Because museums are closed. So we
Sure.
can leave those options for the other days.
Okay. So like a Friday to Tuesday, a Thursday to Tuesday, kind of. That's an interesting like window of travel that not every like a lot of people are just like Wednesday to Sunday makes sense. But I think you're bringing up some really good points of like, well, the city comes alive on the weekends with the bars and the
Yeah.
restaurants. The museums close on Monday. The pyramids in Xochimilco works well on that day. Reforma shuts down on Sunday, so you want to be able to have that day to just roam
Yeah.
and explore. So I think you've offered like a really interesting perspective of like before you get in too deep with dates and details with clients, like maybe consider a slightly different approach to which days you're in the city.
Yeah, and consider walking. I think for me, I always walk with a purpose. That's, I think, the difference. I like to walk and say, "Hey, I'm going to have breakfast or coffee in this pastry and this bakery, and then walk to lunch to this other." So we're just
Yeah.
walking around without any pressure, knowing that we will arrive to the other place just for lunch. But you are, intentional wandering.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. Okay. I think we have covered everything in Mexico City. Are there any types of neighborhoods or sites or client questions? Is there anything that you feel like we haven't talked about yet?
Perhaps just let me talk a little bit about the other neighborhoods because we discussed a lot about Roma, Condesa, a little bit of Polanco. Eh, but let's talk about Coyoacan and San
Yep.
Angel because
Yep.
those are two of the first neighborhoods in the country. Basically, this is when the Hernan Cortes, the Spaniard, discovered Mexico. He lived in Coyoacan, so it's
Okay.
basically the first neighborhood in the country, um, and it has this charm that being preserved in time. It's
Mm-hmm.
cobblestones, like a little bit of what you find in San Miguel de Allende, but here in
Mm-hmm.
Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
Cobblestones, colors, the restaurants are more like the classic Mexican restaurants, what you expect when
Mm-hmm.
you're coming to Mexico. So I think that's a beautiful neighborhood just to go and visit. Like when people come here and say, "Hey, I want to go to Frida Kahlo," we always try to suggest, okay, spend the day then in Coyoacan and in
Yes.
San Angel. San
Yes.
Angel is perfect to go and visit on Saturdays because there has like the arts market happening
Mm-hmm.
in this little bazaar on Saturday. So if you go to Frida Kahlo in the morning, visit a little bit of Coyoacan, then you go and have lunch in San Angel, and then spend the whole afternoon there, like with a lot of things to buy and to discover paintings and arts and craft, as you were saying, but in a really authentic way. You will find there a lot of locals just
Mm-hmm.
enjoying, a lot of families walking around because it's a really amazing tradition that has been preserved for basically centuries.
Yeah. These are all kind of like day trips, but they're still in the city. Like Mexico City is so huge that it's hard to really like
Yeah.
understand until you're there. But Xochimilco feels like a day trip with the distance that you're
I
traveling to get
will
there. I
100%. Like
right.
it's considered like a day trip because probably you will leave early, like you will pick up around 9 a.m., be there by 10, 10:30, spend 4 hours, 5, depending on the itinerary that we are planning, and then coming back, right? So it's your whole day spent
Yeah,
there.
it's your whole day. Frida Kahlo with Coyoacán and San Angel
The
is
same
a
day,
whole
whole
day.
day,
Teotihuacan with transportation, visiting, and getting back generally feels like a whole
whole
day.
day.
I think
Yeah,
like these aren't like 8 or 10 hour days. These are probably like 6 hour days, but that's the
yeah,
day, right? And then you kind of get
correct.
back, you freshen up, and then you go out for a nice dinner. And so that's the really fascinating thing about Mexico City is like these things are all in the city, but they're kind of like
Yeah.
full day. You need transportation to get there because they're far. Um,
That's a that's a good topic, Whitney, because I think it depends once again on the travelers. We have many clients that say, "Hey, I want a suburban at my disposal the whole day just to move around," and yeah, that's one way of doing it. But I have also many clients that say, "Hey, I prefer to invest the money on the experiences and to have like this Michelin star restaurant, amazing those experiences." And I feel comfortable moving around in Ubers. Ubers in
okay.
Mexico City are very affordable. So they are like, especially around Polanco, Condesa, and Roma.
Mhm.
You request your Uber and it will be there like in less than 5 minutes, right? So you don't have to wait.
This is
Uh,
really good to know. So, like, you don't have any concern if clients say, I'm going to take an Uber from my hotel in Polanco to Xochimilco?
that with exceptions, and that's perhaps one of the exceptions.
Okay.
You caught me.
I was
No,
like,
I will say
really?
it is possible. Let me be completely, yes, it is possible. Uh, Probably instead of waiting 5 minutes or 2 minutes as you will be waiting in Polanco or in Roma, you will have to wait 15. So it
And
depends.
to
And
come
it's
back, you mean?
yeah, waiting for the Uber to arrive, because it's
Right.
not like, like a lot of movement, but it will arrive. It's not that you will be standing there with nobody to take you back home.
Yeah.
But we always, for Xochimilco and for the pyramids in Teotihuacan, we always strongly suggest to have
A
a private
driver.
transportation.
Okay.
Particularly for Teotihuacan, for me, it's a no-brainer. I say like it. You not easily you will find Ubers, and if you find, it's going to be very expensive. So
Sure.
for the price, it's much better to have your own private transportation that is already
Right.
waiting for you, move you around. And I think that people not always knows about Teotihuacan is it's such a big site that even if you want to discover everything just walking the whole Teotihuacan site, you will spend basically the whole day there.
Hmm.
So what we try to do is always just to arrive in your own private transportation, drop in one of the different doors, walk a little bit around the door, your entry door, discover the side of that side of the pyramids over there, and when you finish, get back to your car, and then in the
Drive to
car
a
take you
different
to the
area.
another to the another area. That
Right.
way you save your energy to really spend your energy discovering the pyramids and
Hmm.
not just walking, because there are no shades, so just
Right.
walking under the sun from one place to the other with nothing else to see. So in that case, for Teotihuacan, coming back to the transportation, it's always advisable to have your own transportation with you. But if you
So,
are staying in Polanco and just want to go to move around Roma Norte, Condesa, or even downtown, you
right.
can take Ubers, and that's
Ubers.
perfectly
Got
fine.
it. Got it. Got it. What about to Frida Kahlo and Coyoacán? Would you do that by Uber or like, is it
You
possible by
can.
Uber?
I
Okay.
it is 100%.
So that's
It
a little
depends on
further
your
distance
preference,
wise, but like Uber, you're still in the city and Ubers are
and
still,
it's
whereas Xochimilco and Coyoacán, you do feel a little bit of separation from the city
for
when
me,
you're
yeah.
there.
Teotihuacan is 1 hour, 1 hour and a half away from the city.
Yeah.
And if you have to take a highway, it's
Yeah.
completely different
Yeah.
story. Than Xochimilco is still within the city limits.
Yes.
It's just far away. We're
Yeah.
talking about here 45 minutes to maximum 1 hour.
Hmm.
It's more because of the traffic, not because of the distance. That's the difference
Yes.
versus Teotihuacan.
Exactly. And same for Frida Kahlo is the traffic. It's
Frida
not.
exactly, it's traffic,
Hmm.
not necessarily distance. It's still part of the city.
Right.
Uh, what I recommend is like Ubers or like taxis here in Mexico City. They don't have car seats. So if you are coming here with young kids and you need toddler seats or boosters or anything, please, it's always advisable to request a private transportation. Otherwise, they won't have any options.
Yep. Yep. No, I'm glad that you mentioned that because we use Ubers a lot, like in the city, just to a dinner reservation
Yeah.
or just going short distances. It's definitely super easy and convenient.
Mhm.
Um, I think the only thing we haven't mentioned that I've experienced and really enjoyed is ballet folklorico.
Thank you for mentioning that. It's actually quite amazing. And it's just wonderful. You can do it early in the mornings on Sundays or late nights for Sunday. As you
Hmm.
said, like if we have travelers staying in the city for Sunday night, that's a perfect activity for them.
Yeah, I think we talked about Day of the Dead. Ballet Folklorico is really one of my favorites. If anyone is interested in like a performance quality, like it's authentic in the dancing and the
Yeah.
performance, but it's very clearly made for tourists. So I don't,
Yeah.
it's not something you see out in the street. Like you're going to
Yeah.
a theater to watch this
Correct.
performance of authentic dances from different areas of Mexico. I really enjoyed it. I've seen it twice. I would go again. I really like that type
Yeah,
of
I
thing.
agree.
Um,
And it's something that we as Mexicans, we are really like, we appreciate those because this is still
mhm.
part of our tradition. Is like there are in, especially in communities and small communities are outside of Mexico City, I will say that, like you see young girls and young boys going there to learn, like the
Yeah.
typical dance of their town. I did that
Yes.
when I was living in Tabasco as a young children.
Yes.
So yeah, it is. I think it's something that's Mexicans were very proud of our heritage, and this is showcased there. Probably if you went there, you see foreigners, but also local
Yes.
families attending the show.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Cintli, thank you so much for just shedding so much exciting light on Mexico City as a destination. It is truly one of my favorite cities. It's also changing so quickly
it
that
is.
every time I go back, it's a little bit different. I never stay in the same hotel. I always go to a different one because there's so many options. There's always a
Yeah,
new restaurant. So even if it's not a new restaurant, you can never go to all of the amazing restaurants in one trip. So like you need
correct.
multiple trips just to visit all the restaurants. So we go like a new hotel and new restaurants every time, and it feels like a totally new trip. Um, I
100%.
honestly, I honestly would compare it to like New York City in this way. Like every time you go, you stay in a different hotel, you go to different restaurants, you see different shows, and it's like a new trip.
It's
So
never boring.
never boring, that's for sure. And it's
Yeah,
always delicious. That's what I tell everyone. Never boring and always delicious.
100%.
Thank you so much for your time and for sharing everything with us about Mexico City. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
And I
so
hope I
much,
can
Whitney.
convince you to come back and talk about a different destination in Mexico on another
Oh, I
time.
will love to. Like, let's talk Oaxaca if you want next time.
You know, it's my favorite. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Whitney. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Hive Mind podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if you know a friend or colleague who would enjoy this, please share it with them. If you would like insights from this episode landing in your inbox each week, join our newsletter at thehive.travel/podcast. And remember, if you'd like to contribute to a future episode, whether it's sharing your destination expertise or your experience touring hotels, just head to thehive.travel/podcast to learn more and express your interest. We'd love to have you join the conversation. Until next time.